All right, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris for more on this case. Misty, good morning. So walk us through the clerk's behavior in this case. We heard a bit of it there, a couple quotes, but what is it that she did, and were you surprised by this decision?
So I had actually listened to the oral arguments on this particular motion back in February, and the court was very strongly signaling that they were going to overturn this conviction. And it was largely based on the comments that Becky Hill made to the jury. Watch his body language, watch his actions, don't be confused by the defense. This shouldn't take long when the jurors went into deliberations. All of that being very highly prejudicial. So the next question is, did it impact the jurors? Did it matter? And the court says this was so intertwined because he took the stand. This was his testimony. This was a largely circumstantial case. So these types of comments could really impact. And not only that, you got to remember, she's the county clerk. She has this air of authority in the courtroom. So that's certainly something. She's an agent of the court to take into consideration.
All right, so new trial. First of all, would you expect the prosecution, since it was successful the first time, to try a similar strategy the second time? And maybe flip for the defense? Do they maybe say, maybe we don't put him on the stand this time?
Certainly, I think that could be something the defense will think about. But the prosecution is actually being forced to pivot to a certain degree because the second part of this decision was limiting the evidence that's going to come in relating to Murdaugh's financial crime. So trial one, that was a large part of the prosecution's case to prove motive. So whether or not the prosecutors are going to have to take a new tactic or strategy, keep in mind, the case is about a father and a husband who kills his wife and son in cold blood. The jury's going to want to know the why. So how will prosecutors deal with this potential limitation moving forward? We don't know.
So what do you think that means? The likelihood is that Murdaugh gets convicted a second time.
Well, this is all anew. This is going to be different evidentiary decisions. This trial could play out very differently, and both sides have the advantage of the perspective of hindsight, right? What went right the first time, what went wrong? Joe, I think you made the point, would Murdaugh take the stand? I think the defense is going to be very, very skeptical about putting him up there again. Many think that might have been one of the reasons why he was convicted, but there's a tremendous amount of evidence for the defense to overcome, and a lot of how they approach the case is going to be shaped by what prosecutors present.
Remind us the financial crimes, how big of a deal that was in the first trial as the judge at that time tried to weigh what would be admissible evidence and what wouldn't, and just how drastically that could change a new trial.
So it was a huge blow to Murdaugh the first time around. The defense tried to keep out any evidence of financial impropriety because the prosecution's theory of the case is that Murdaugh had all of these financial issues, all of these crimes he was committing behind the scenes, and he was about to get found out. So he actually killed his wife and son to distract, to get sympathy, and potentially a financial motive relating to insurance policies and all sorts of other things in that vein. So that was the central issue in the case to tell the jury the why. Well, now he's pled guilty. So the question is, will the judge let the jury hear that he's pled guilty to those financial crimes? I'm sure the defense would try and keep that out. But on the flip side, if it comes in, would they say, well, yeah, he pled guilty, but he's actually fighting this? Are those tactics that could be used by both sides?
Misty Marris, certainly a talker. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.